everybody to the Architectural Site Control Commission meeting for Monday, the 26th of June, 2023. We have one participant in the audience and we will do roll call.
Jamie, can you confirm that you can hear us?
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out if it was my phone, but yes, now I can hear you. I was having difficulty hearing Jane, but Laura, I can hear you.
Okay, so we'll just ask everybody to pull the mic close. Thanks. Okay. I'm sorry, we're on roll call. Commissioner Breen,
Here.
Commissioner Self,
Here.
Commissioner Wilson,
Here.
Commissioners Chung and Flynn will be absent this evening.
All right, that brings us on to oral communications, such as where persons wishing to address the Architectural and Site Control Commission on any subject not on our agenda may do so now. Please note, however, that the Architectural and Site Control Commission is not able to undertake extended discussion or action tonight on items not on the agenda.
We have two attendees in Zoom land, which is our council liaison and our planning commission liaison. And we have one member of the public in the audience here in the schoolhouse. So if any of those people wish to speak on oral communications, please raise your hand or come to the podium. And I do not see any hands raised.
Right, in that case, I will close oral communications and we'll move on to new business. Item number 1 is the appointment of a chair and vice chair.
So we had, as a reminder to everyone, we had postponed this action because we had openings on the ASCC. And so with 2 openings, we got out of kind of the normal rotation that the ASCC has been in over the years. So we do have a quorum this evening. And so it's up to the ASCC members if you wish to go ahead and appoint your chair and vice chair this evening. Or since we have 2 members absent, you can wait until an upcoming meeting. So that rests with you in terms of how you would like to handle it. Normally there's kind of an obvious rotation amongst the ASCC, but it's not so much. We've been out of that kind of typical rotation for a couple of years now, with Dave Ross staying on for, I think, 2 years in a row. So it's really up to the ASCC how you would like to handle this time around.
Well, you weren't chair last year. I thought you were just continuing on from last year. Dave was chair.
Yeah, so our chair and our vice chair both stepped down from ASCC. So there wasn't an obvious vice chair to rotate in. So Jane has been doing it this year, mostly because following the old rotation logic, it would have been Jane's turn. So staff just asked her to act as the chair for just continuity
And
as
I
we went
have a
through.
short term. I think my term is only through the end of the year, so I wouldn't be a good candidate.
And I'm sorry, I didn't check that before the meeting tonight.
But so if you were the next one to rotate, maybe
I
you should
carried on till
continue
December.
through this year.
Well, that's the
I'm happy with that. Yeah, I think we ought to go ahead and do it. That'll give you more
Let's
choice
do it.
just because it's half the year's over. We don't
Rebecca wouldn't
have a
want to
chair
do it.
yet.
Well, you could always
The one meeting.
You could always appoint a chair this evening and we could appoint a vice chair at a subsequent meeting, or you can do both.
When was the last time you served as a chair or vice chair? Oh, wow. It's been a
It
while.
hasn't been recent because
Well, why don't you vice chair?
I'm willing to do that. Yeah.
I think we got this covered. So
Right.
that would be what I would propose.
Okay, so formally then you should
Yeah.
make a motion. for
That is my motion.
Have to make sure I write it down so you get it right. Okay, so we have a motion and a second for Jane to be the chair and Al to be the vice chair. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry, we're supposed to take public comments. I'm sorry, I skipped that. I guess I was still assuming there wouldn't be any public comments. No one else has joined the meeting, so we only have liaisons and Carter in the room. Does anyone wish to speak on that item? Carter has his hand up.
Thank you, Carter.
Carter supports the nomination. He was off mic, but thank you, Carter. We appreciate that. Okay, so we have the motion and the second and the public comments, and I'm going to ask for the vote again, just to make it more official. All in favor of that motion? Motion passes 3-0.
Yes. We will move on to the second item of new business, which is the application for a new garage, 171 square foot main level addition and 447 second story addition above the garage, including a wraparound deck. The proposal exceeds the 85% AMFA rule. And we have Jamie Bourne to present on behalf of staff.
Thank you, Jane. Good evening, ASCC members. My name is Jamie Bourne, contract planner for the town of Portola Valley, presenting a project proposal for design review at 166 Corte Madera for demolition of and rebuild of a two-car garage with an addition above the garage. The proposal exceeds 85% AMFA and requires ASCC consideration. A public site meeting was held today at 3:30 p.m. The attendees included Planning Commissioner Ronnie Krasinski, ASCC Commissioners Jane Wilson, Al Sill, and Dana Breen, Planning and Building Director Laura Russell, Senior Planner Adrian Smith, Project Applicant Carter War of CJW Architecture, and myself, Jamie Bourne. Following this presentation, the applicant will provide details related to the proposed site grading, specific public outreach efforts performed at the time of the project submittal, and skylight information, all of which were questions presented during today's site meeting. The parcel is located on a flag lot and is 0.33 acres behind 164 Corte Madera. It is bound by Campo Road and Prado Court with main access off Portola Road. The parcel is located in flood zone C and has an average slope of 8.9%. To note, there was a discrepancy on page 2 of the published staff report, which indicated both 8.9% and 9.8% average slope. And to confirm, the average site slope is 8.9%. The existing site includes a single family residence with a 572 square foot lower level toward the rear of the property and a 1,912 square foot main level. There is a detached 434 square foot garage located at the southwesterly portion of the property. And there are 2 existing decks, one of which is located along a portion of the east side yard and one that is located at the rear of the residence. The maximum floor area for the site is 3,525 square feet. And the 85% maximum floor area for the site is 2,997 square feet. The new structure will connect to the main residence to allow direct access from the primary bedroom suite and garage to the main structure. Access to the front door will be maintained via a walkway between the garage and the main structure. The total square footage proposed for all structures is 3,523 square feet, which is 2 square feet below the maximum allowable floor area for the site. The area proposed work meets all side yard setbacks and uses setback averaging for the new structure at the west side yard. The proposed perimeter of the garage and the upper level deck are located 9 3/4 inches from the side property line, which is allowed based on setback averaging. The applicant proposes to rebuild a new 424 square foot 2-car garage, 82 square foot main entry area, 89 square feet of stairway area, and a 447 square foot primary bedroom suite with a bathroom above the garage. A 231 square foot deck is proposed above the garage as part of the primary bedroom suite and is located at the along the south and west portions of the structure. A 47 square foot balcony is also proposed at the rear of the garage. The existing lower level and main residence area floor plan remain unchanged. The applicant proposes to exceed the 85% AMFA to prevent additional grading at the site slope as the site slopes from the front to the rear yard. The applicant maintains that the functionality of the proposed design is also best suited in relation to the layout of the existing home. Sorry about that. I should have done that before. From the lowest grade to the highest point of the main structure, the proposed height is 32 feet 9 inches and indicated on the north elevation. The maximum height limit for the structure is 34 feet. The maximum vertical height proposed is 27 feet 7 1/4 inches with a maximum allowable vertical height of 28 feet. The parcel is located in combining district 15M and subject to theoretical plane requirements in which the natural ground surface of the property line may increase in height at a ratio of 1 1/2 vertical feet to 1 horizontal foot up to a maximum horizontal distance of 24 feet. In no case may any portion of the building 15 feet or less in height measured from the finished ground surface adjoining the wall of the building cross said plane. The original design contained one portion of the deck area that at the west side yard that did not comply with the requirement and was subsequently moved inward to comply with the town zoning code requirement. Slide 7 includes illustrations that show the south front yard elevation looking toward the garage in a southwest view that does not include the existing fence or walkway area. The visual provides a view of the lower main level and upper level. There are 3 proposed skylights. One skylight is proposed at the bedroom suite rooftop, and there are 2 proposed skylights on the existing roof line of the main residence. The roof style proposed is a gable style, and it'll be constructed consistent with the existing main structure roof style. The proposed material is Class A rolled asphalt and will match the existing roof color, which is also indicated on the next slide here. The proposed colors and materials for the exterior siding of the home are hardy plank siding and color schooner by Benjamin Moore with an LRV of 18. The proposed color is the same as the main structure, the existing main structure. The proposed fascia and trim colors are Imperial Gray by Benjamin Moore with an LRV of 47. Specifications for the exterior doors, garage door railings, and decking have not been provided by the applicant. All the materials and colors will be required to comply with the town design guidelines for LRV and building code requirements for materials as part of the building permit application submittal. The applicant proposes 3,477 feet of impervious surface area. The maximum impervious surface area for the parcel is 3,611 square feet, a total of 389 square feet of new impervious surface areas proposed primarily at the driveway as required by the Woodside Protection Fire District, having a 12-foot minimum driveway width. There's no landscaping proposed or tree removals as part of the project. There is also no new fencing proposed as part of the scope of work. The site development, there's minimal soil movement proposed as part of the scope of work, and a geotechnical report will be provided as part of the building permit submittal. Proposed construction is primarily at the existing footprint of the garage pad. And the level of review for site development will be determined at the time of building permit submittal. Soil movement that is greater than 100 cubic yards, it requires ASCC review. The proposed exterior lighting plan is shown here. There are 5 lights proposed as part of the project. There are 2 sconces that are 805 lumens each and 3 sconces that are 700 lumens. The proposed lighting is dark sky compliant, it's downlit, shielded, and complies with the town's outdoor lighting ordinance. Notice of the public meeting was mailed to all property owners within a 300-foot radius on June 16th, 2023. The applicant also provided certification that neighbor notification occurred as part of their submittal in January of 2023. No public comments were received for neighbor notification or for public noticing. Staff recommends that the ASCC review these plans and staff report, offer feedback or additional conditions of approval, and consider approval for this architectural review subject to the recommended conditions listed in attachment 1. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Could you just go back to that slide about the neighbours?
Yes.
It says staff received one.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did not change that. I initially thought there was a comment, but I was incorrect. So please disregard that.
All right, thank you.
Sorry about that.
Thank you, Jamie. Do we have any commission questions for Jamie?
I have a question for Laura, just barely related to this. Partner took us through the design trade-offs today at the site, and he was talking about daylight claims. We almost never have that come up. Is that specific to certain lot zonings or certain areas of town?
Yeah, it's the daylight plane requirement is specific to the smaller lots in town. So there's very few places where it applies. And then there's even less, so we are checking for it sometimes, but the setback is large enough that it doesn't come into consideration at all. So we're rarely pointing it out to you.
We came up against it on Brookside a couple of times and just, yeah, smaller.
Okay.
Smaller lot. Well, so I asked about the garage door because it did look like it's glass. Is there glass in the garage door? We don't know that yet because you haven't picked it.
Correct.
Oh, wait, we're not there yet. Sorry.
Did you have any questions? Jamie? I don't have any questions for Jamie. So we move on to the applicant presentation by Mr. Carter Wall.
I'm sorry, Carter, I don't know if I turned it on.
Thank you, Jane, Al, Dana, for coming to the site meeting today. I'm Carter War, Principal Architect of CJW Architecture and the architect for this project. Thank you for coming to the site. This is really a relatively modest kind of project, more in keeping with kind of the smaller properties and more sustainable design. The project really is a natural outgrowth of a young family needing some more space. Family has 3 young children, really are looking forward to having a primary bedroom in the house. It's really one of the main reasons that we're asking for the exception to the 85% limit. It is because of the topography of the site and the desire and the need for that additional bedroom space to be connected to the house for safety and security and for the upbringing of their children. So we've made our argument for this being a better design. I think it is. Essentially there isn't any grading on this site because we're reutilizing an old carport foundation area. in order to accomplish, all of the goals of the garage, the master suite, adjusting the entry and creating an interior connection. Feel pretty proud, that we're able to do that, in essentially a quite modest design that affects the existing house very little. Part of the design criteria was also to make sure that, our client's family could continue to live in the house during the construction so that they wouldn't end up, needing to vacate it. Also to keep, the cost, as modest as possible. The grading that we are being forced into, is to increase the width of the driveway. And the width of that driveway, we're going to try to make sure, that we can balance an increase on both sides, so that the amount of grading on the uphill side is about the same as the grading on the downhill side. But, for sure, the grading will be less, than the ASCC threshold. This project needs to remain modest. It's the reason that we've got matching colors, materials, matching light fixtures, matching roof materials, trying to make it as simple and straightforward as possible. Again, thank you for visiting the site. It provides a lot more clarity than the drawings. And from an outreach standpoint, the owners took a very proactive approach, to outreach in January, between December and January, when between the time we applied and the time we had to certify that. Story polls have been up, all of that time. If there were going to be comments, I would expect that they would have come a long time ago. As I mentioned on site, I was a little concerned, when I was sketching, the second floor, until I revisited the site, to remind myself of the screening that was available. And the screening on the neighboring properties is really substantial, and don't have any concerns about privacy or screening on this design. Look forward to your support and approval. Let me know if you have any questions.
Not really. I mean, again, about the glass in the garage door, I don't have an electric car, but I know that Dave Ross was always concerned about flashing lights, through the night as cars were being charged inside. And I think that would have implications to the other two neighbors, but I don't know.
I support, solid garage doors in most cases. Some level of light I think is going to be desired, because part of Michael's, avocation is motorcycles. And so some of that garage I know is going to be occupied by some tinkering and maintenance. And, I don't know if you went by, on the driveway, there was some beautiful motorcycles, and between maintenance and repairs and prep for activities or racing, I think it makes sense to have some some glass along that side. But we will come back with how much glass is going to be in that.
That's my only question.
Mhm.
Thank you. Dog? There's a dog at home. There was a dog. Okay.
Don't talk to me that way.
Public comment, yeah, the dog. All right, Commissioner Still.
No question.
All right, I have no questions.
But do tell them that Arlen Ness was a really good friend of mine, and he is famous for making Harleys,
Mhm.
special Harleys for people.
For those that don't have access to the Zoom screen that I have, we also have, I'm guessing it's two other members of the applicant team. Olivia and Bert are also here. So I
Yep.
didn't know, I just wanted everyone to be aware of that.
Yeah, Olivia is our client, and Bert is our client as well.
All right. Welcome to the meeting, Olivia and Bert. Actually, I do have a question about skylights. Is it possible for those to be to have some sort of fenestration.
Actually, Jamie, if,
roof.
could you go to the roof plan that shows the location of those skylights?
I know that one's on the very top of the roof and two look up into the.
Yeah, one is on top, it's bringing light down into the primary bathroom. The other two are down low in the existing roof. And those are tremendously screened, from the existing trees and the building itself. So I would hope for an approval without having to screen those. If we did need to, screen those, in your opinion, I would think the upper one is the only one, that would need to be screened.
But I'm talking internal screen.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree. An internal screen would be, would be an acceptable condition for the upper skylight. But because the lower skylights aren't going to be anywhere near be in a position to be seen, from outside.
Yeah, the building.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, they're, all three skylights are, going into bathrooms. Yeah. Actually, there's, some substantial code requirements for those lights to be, controlled, and automatically turn off.
Yeah, thank you.
While the meeting has been going, 2 more members of the public have joined on Zoom. So if anyone wishes to provide public comment, please raise your hand. Ronnie Krasinski has his hand up. Here's Ronnie.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
I was just curious if the driveway is on the property or if it's like an easement through the neighbor's property, and if there's any consideration about that with regard to expanding the width.
I can answer that if you'd like. The driveway is 100%, on, our client's property, and there isn't any permission or subject that, we have to, get for that. It's a relatively easy thing to do. Also seems a little bit petty, since the difference between 11 feet and 12 feet is so small. But, we're happy to comply if we need to.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Maria?
No, I don't see any other hands up.
All right. We only have one person in the audience, so in that case, I will close. And then back to the commission.
I think it's a wonderful project. I'm excited about seeing it go forward. I can make the 85% findings. Garage door was not an issue anymore. I know that there was no lighting proposed down the driveway, but I think it's important to mention that it should never go down the driveway because it would be shared with too many people. The only thing that I get concerned about for this project is construction staging. I think it's going to be, it could be really complicated on Corte Madera, especially when people park on both sides of the road, you can't get through. So we're gonna have to have a really good plan for construction staging. But other than that, I support it. I hope for your clients, Carter, that there can be some discussion about that screen planting on the Windy Hill side of their fence, because ultimately that's going to become a huge wall. And I think that merits discussion with the neighbors about what they can do to keep the screening and yet not really just turn their place into, a shade zone, because those redwoods are really young. So I totally support the project. I think it's wonderful.
Right. Thank you, Commissioner Breen. Commissioner Self.
Yes, thanks. Yeah, it looks to me like an intelligent design, uses the old garage footprint. I think it's completely appropriate for the site. Yeah, I think it's the best possible solution. Limited visibility from almost all the locations. You can see it a little bit from Puerto Madera, but you have to look hard. You can see it from there. I think that it'll be a big improvement in livability, usefulness, without really. The skylights seem okay to me. I don't think that it's a big issue to me. They're not that big. Over rooms that aren't used that much. So that seems okay to me. The lighting plan I thought was good, very thoughtful, just the minimum lighting that is necessary. I think that I don't have any trouble making the required findings. I think it's definitely a superior design without any impact to neighbors. And I guess the one thing about the project to me is that there's a number of things that are still kind of undefined, and then exterior doors and colors. To me, those are all straightforward enough that we should just trust the planning staff. Because I don't think that it's get the ASCC. And I'm completely in support of it.
What about the garage doors? The planning staff rather than-
I mean, if it's just one row of glass, I don't even think it needs to come. If it's more than that, I guess I think if it's like a complete glass door, that would be.
Just so that the staff have. Thank you, Commissioner Sill. I too like the project. I think it's a very sensible way of adding space to the property so that the family can grow. I have no problem with the findings of the 85% to accommodate the family. I am a little bit nervous about the skylight and light spill. So I might, but if both of my fellow commissioners don't see a problem, I'll go with the majority.
I'm just not enough. Setback with.
No off-site impact.
Okay, we hope.
Yeah.
We don't want somebody with a telescope saying there's a light coming. That's the only thing I'm worried about. So other than that, I'm quite happy to make the plan. So we have to entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the project as outlined with the conditions specified in the staff report.
I will second that.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear what the condition was.
There were no conditions. It was
Okay,
just
good.
with the conditions that you've already outlined in the staff report.
Thank you.
So roll call, please.
We can do a voice vote since we don't have anybody remotely. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor of approval?
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Bueno.
Good
Thank-
job.
Thank you, Mr. War.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Olivia and Bert. And
Thanks,
look forward
thanks
to
for the
seeing you
birthday
properly.
wish too. You guys did awesome.
If you're going home to have a party, make good scratch. Urban.
Right, so we now move on to commission staff, committee reports and recommendations. So commission reports, does anybody have anything?
I haven't done anything since last meeting.
Is this the point where I might mention?
Yeah.
Right, okay, so Laura and I had a small meeting about the landscaping at the fire station, and Laura Russell came up with some solutions to some issues that I thought were very sympathetic, and I therefore agreed with the ones that Laura is to propose for the neighbour at the rear of the property.
So, do you want me to just summarize, the kind of compromise that we came to? Yeah, no, it's okay. I think it's, good for ASCC members to know. You might recall this is going back a ways, but there was really a lot of neighbor concerns about the landscaping at Fire Station 8 and really trying to reach a compromise, on a lot of different topics there. And so in particular, the neighbor that is directly behind the fire station had use of and enjoyment of a part of the fire station property for many years and planted plants there that she received a lot of enjoyment from. And so we were trying to find a solution that would be consistent with the town ethos and our expectations for native landscaping and for water conservation, while also preserving her enjoyment of those plants. And so what we proposed to do and what Jane agreed with is that we would allow the non-native plants to remain in the rear of that yard where they don't interfere with drainage and critical facilities of the fire station. And they are going to be irrigated, but very carefully irrigated as to not waste water there. And if any of those plants fail, then they would be required to be planted with native plants if they are replanted. That way that neighbor could continue to have enjoyment of those plants and help provide a buffer. The new plantings that are going in are all native and thoughtfully selected. I did go on site with Bob Cleaver and we had a very kind of good field meeting where we talked about the plants that are on site. And he really gave us assurances that while those plants are not native, they're not anything that would be considered really invasive or anything that we would be really concerned about in our normal kind of, doing business in town. So that's the compromise that we reached, that the fire station can complete their construction, the neighbor can continue to have enjoyment, and we'll see a little bit of increase in water usage, but Bob said it wouldn't be too bad. So that's the resolution we were able to reach. So I've notified the fire district. I've not notified the neighbor yet, but I'll be doing that as well.
The solution.
Great. And I just have to repeat, I thought that Laura Russell had done a very fantastic, thoughtful job on preparing this. So
Thanks,
I
Jane.
just wanted to add that in public. All right. So nobody else, the commission reports, we hand over to you.
The main thing that I wanted to report is the ASCC had done a very preliminary review with the Priory for some additional projects that they were interested in doing. They have since changed the scope of that quite a bit and kind of reconsidered their plans. So we're going to be coming back to ASCC for another preliminary review with ASCC. So that will include a site visit as well as an evening meeting for preliminary review. So that's going to be coming up. I don't know if it's 100% confirmed yet, but we are suspecting that will be on the July 10th.
Yeah, right?
Yes.
It's a bunch of different-
Yeah. Yeah, so there's a list of projects. Basically, we asked them to capture what they expect to do over the next few years. So we can consider whether a CUP amendment is needed and for what. So we're working through some of the logistics, but they wanted to get early feedback from ASCC. So that should be a good one, a chance to get on site. We haven't been on site for a while with this group and look at their proposal.
I think we all had to visit separately last time. I can't
Yeah.
remember. So
Yeah,
all together, we were just going around.
so we'll have the
Anything else
benefit of
coming
that.
at us?
The other things that are coming are all pretty routine at this point. So there's nothing else that's really kind of unique or of townwide significance that I've got on the next couple of meetings.
What about the Lane property, the 880 Westridge? Is that still way off?
That's a little ways off still, we think. So the conservation committee met on that one. The conservation easement has some complexity to it. So we're working with the attorney to make sure that we have a good interpretation of the conservation easement. Dylan's the planner on that project. So we just really want to make sure we have everything lined up on it. So I think it'll be a couple months before it comes before you.
Any from Stanford? Terrace?
In terms of the Stanford project with the wedge, the Portola Terrace, all the different names, we don't have a set schedule for it yet. We are, with the transition in attorney services, we have to make sure that we've got everything lined up with our new interim town attorney. And so we are working on finalizing the response to comments. So we got all those comments on the draft EIR, hundreds of pages. And so we are finalizing those, and then we'll release those, and then there'll be a series of public meetings that will happen after that. So no schedule yet, but we're working on it in the background, and I would describe it as gaining momentum technically. So it's not yet ready for the public meeting process, but behind the scenes, we're making a lot of progress on it.
Right, thank you, Laura.
You're welcome. We need to take public comments on the reports.
Do we have any public comments on these commission and staff reports?
We have Christy Corley has her hand up.
Go ahead, Christy.
Thank you. I was just wondering if we have any more applications for SB 9 lot splits. And my other question would be, do we have any pre-approval processes going on with any of our housing element sites? Is any work being done on any of the addresses?
We have not received any SB 9 lot splits since the last report. We have inquiries on and off, but we haven't received any applications.
I thought we had one, no?
We have one SB 9 unit that we have an application, and the lot split, I don't know if they've formally applied or they're about to formally apply. So we have that one, but we haven't gotten any new ones. So sorry if I wasn't clear. And then on housing element sites, I guess, like what, can you elaborate on your question, Christy?
Yeah, usually developers will start a pre-approval process, not an official application. And Los Altos Hills residents had a big surprise that a lot of work was being done that they didn't even know about. So I'm asking so we can be informed and transparent. And so any of the housing element sites, is there a preliminary development process occurring on any of the addresses for the housing element?
There are not any pre-applications or preliminary applications for development on any of the housing element sites. So nothing has changed in terms of development. So the housing element is approved by the council, and it's adopted by the council, and it's with the state right now for their review. After they're finished with their review, we might have to make final changes to it and re-adopt it. We have to see what the state has to say. But right now we have an adopted housing element, and there's been no applicant activity on development projects. People have asked us questions, but nothing about a specific development.
Right, thank
So do you have any drawings? No drawings.
No
Have-
drawings. No drawings have
And-
been submitted.
And then what is the date that we would expect to hear from HCD?
The end of July. I don't know the exact date off the top of my head.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Christy. Do you have any other public comments?
There are no other hands up.
All right, in that case, I will close the public comment section for the commission and staff report and move on to the next item on the agenda, which is approval of the minutes from the 5th of June, 2023.
I was very surprised to see really different minutes. I mean, there really is not a narrative of the commissioners. But it's all taped. So if anybody ever wants to listen, they can listen to it.
Yeah, that's correct. Dana, while you were off the commission, the council made changes to how the minutes were being done for ASCC, Planning Commission, and for council. And they changed everyone to just action minutes since we have all the videos now. And so that's the change that we made for ASCC that we've been doing since then.
I would move to approve those minutes.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Motion carries 3-0.
Do we put it comments?
Yes, I'm sorry. That's my fault. I should have caught that. Judith has her hand up and so does Rita. So, sorry, everyone. Let's have Judith.
Okay, this is quick. I thought, Laura, that the planning commission has the longer, more detailed minutes still. Did they reverse that?
No, the planning commission asked for an exception to the town council's rule. And so the planning commission went back to summary minutes,
Okay,
like detailed.
okay, thank you.
Right, Rita Cummings Whitney.
Yes, thank you for taking my comment. I really hope that the minutes for this particular group for ASCC got upgraded so that, the minutes can be archivable and people can find things. I can look up things and find things from the early 90s because they're not every single word, but the topics are there for different things and they're searchable. So I'm hoping that the current town council changes those very skeleton type agenda minutes to something, it doesn't have to be word for word, but something a little more robust so that people can search things and not have to watch the full video. Thank you.
We should talk about that sometime. I think we should put that on the agenda sometime and talk about it, because if planning commission reversed it, it'd certainly be open to the discussion of us talking about it. Was this a decision of the town council though, Laura?
Yeah, it was the council's decision. And there were numerous factors that went into that decision. Legal considerations, considerations with accuracy, and getting the right level of detail. And then also we were having members of the public correcting very minor things. And so then it was taking a lot of administrative time for the commission as well as for the staff. And it's become pretty much an industry standard to have only action minutes. And so there was just a number of things that the council was wrestling with and that planning commission was talking about. So planning commission expressly requested to have the summary minutes. So if you want to talk about it at a future time, we could certainly do that.
Right, thank you. Do we have any further public comments?
There are no other hands up.
All right, in that case, I will close public comments, and I believe we have a motion, a second, and a vote.
Yes, we do.
Right, so in that case, I think the next thing to know is adjourning the meeting.
Yes.
Right, meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Thanks. Good night, everyone.